Okay, so these are the tents in various stages. Here's the tent that I'm going to set up. Like I said, Half Dome 2 Plus. It's 2-person plus a little extra room, which for normal people means it fits 2 people. So this is kind of the end product. This is a tent here with the fly off. Just showing the screen so you can kind of see it. That's part of the first stage of setting it up. Here's a couple tents that have already been set up. Here's one that's completely enclosed with the fly on. You can see it has vents to help air out, to keep airflow going in your tent at night especially. And here's one with the doors open. You'll see they have doors on both sides. Fly has a zipper opening, and then also the screen has a zipper opening. Here's the other side. Quite convenient. Means that each person gets their own door. So that's our finished product. I am going to next set up the camera so I can show you how we actually set up these tents. All right, thank you. Okay, so here I set up a tent, and I showed you before we use the WHA 2 Plus. Right here, comes in this handy bag, and it's pretty simple, but it is kind of important how you do some of this stuff when you set up your tent. First of all, we really want to take good care of it. We always hang on to the bag. I always tell people to take the pole bag and the stake bag and put them inside of the tent bag, and put the tent bag inside the tent. And we do that because you get winds and people leave these bags out. The bags are pretty light. They can easily blow away. So I'm going to take the poles out of the pole bag. So you can see we have our bundle of poles. Put that over there for now. And I'm going to go ahead and take some stakes out. We're going to use a total of 8 stakes. And all of our tents come with 8, and then we usually have 1 or 2 extra with us. There's some stakes, and in case you're wondering, you might have one of these in your stake bag. Actually, you should. This is a pole repair piece. If a pole broke, you could slide this onto the pole and it'll hold it together. So that could be important if something happened. So we'll just set that aside for now. And the tent's been rolled up. There's another video on how to put your tent away, and I explain how the best way to roll up your tent so that it makes it easier to pack and easier to set up next time you put your tent up. So we're just going to unroll the tent and unfold it. And one of the things you'll notice is that we keep the footprint with the tent. And what the footprint is it's simply a added layer on the bottom of the tent to protect the tent from rocks and sticks and that kind of stuff. So we'll unfold this just like that. I'll take the fly off, and we'll just put that aside for right now. And then the first thing we're going to do, and of course when you set up your tent, and of course we'll help you with this, but you'll want a nice flat area. My yard's pretty flat, but this is for demo purposes only. One thing you don't want is a real low spot where it kind of goes down where rain could collect. If anything, you want it to be a little bit mounded, so to speak, so rain can go away from the tent. And of course you want it flat so that you're not sliding back and forth or up and down when you're sleeping during the night. So anyway, we're going to stake these in. They have a string that you put the stake in, and you just push it in. And I'm not going to stake it real hard, but again, just look for that stake or for that string, sorry. And then put the stake through that. Push that in, do all 4. Throw the stick out of the way. And you'll notice I picked a spot where it just happens to be a root. That could happen out in the wilderness for sure. Alright, so I got it staked in. Next thing we do is put the poles together. And they just come all kind of in a mess here. At this gold center piece, that goes in the middle of the tent. I usually start there. And of course this is even easier when you got 2 people helping. Now, one thing I'm going to say is that when you put these poles together, make sure these pieces seat completely together. Let me show you a little bit. Yeah, they come apart, and what you don't want is something like that, and then if it bends, this is going to break. I want to make sure it's all the way in. All right, so we'll do that for all these. Alright, get all these together. Then, like I said, this is the center piece, and that goes across the center of the tent, just like this. Alright, and then the end of this pole is going to go into this round rivet. Let me do this one up here. You can see a little better. There's a rivet right here, and you just put the pole into that. And walk over and do the other side. Again, obviously this is a little bit easier if you got 2 people doing it at once, but not too bad by yourself. Alright, so we got the 4 corners in, and now we got the basic structure, and all we got to do now is attach the body of the tent to it. Now there's on each end of these, there's a spot, and the color matches this gold color. You hook this into that. There's a clip on the top here, and then we'll come over here, and there's another spot here to hook that in. That hooks that all up real nice. And there's just a bunch of clips that you clip onto the poles, and we'll just go ahead and do all those. Probably hear the airplane going up above us. Alright, so, and there, you got the basic tent done already, and that's the inside. So, now we're just going to put the fly on. Now, sometimes I like to tell people to go ahead and, if it's not raining, is to, open up the zipper and go ahead and load up your tent with your sleeping bag and air mattress and all that stuff, because it's a little bit easier to get stuff in when you don't have the fly on. Of course, if it's raining, different story. You'll want to get that fly on right away. Alright, so, and the fly is pretty easy. Again, on these REI tents, there's a logo right here. And right now, all of their tents are the same, in that the logo, there's one on each end, and the logo goes on the end of the tent where the doors are not. So it makes it a little bit easier to know how to line up, and it should be visible on the outside, so you know which side goes on the outside. All right, so throw that on. All right, so the fly is kind of on there. This happens a lot where it sticks out like this, but it helps remind me, so I don't forget, is that underneath each side of the door there's another one of these gold colored loops. You see right here, that hooks in right there, and we'll do that on the other side now. And that holds the fly in place. Kind of a nice feature, actually. And I just pull the fly back down, and now you can see I got the fly on. Next thing I do is I go around. There's a buckle on each end, each corner of the fly, and there's a receiving part of the buckle down by the end of the pole near the stake. You just buckle that in. And they loosen and tighten, so you can loosen these up to start and then tighten them later. So I clip those in. And I got one more here. There you go, it's all clipped in. Now, kind of the final piece, so to speak, is 2 stakes for each door. And there you'll see there's a string, and this string is adjustable. And I usually pull a little bit of that string out, so I have a little bit on one side and quite a bit where the stake is. That way I can tighten it up. Now the trick to this is, it's not really a trick, it's just a tip, is the seam where the string is. If you follow the seam, go straight out from the seam, and that's where you stake it. That gives you a nice line when you're staking it. And there's 2 of them. There's one over here too. You barely see me, I know, but I'm going to follow that seam out and stake it. Yeah, I'm going to do that on the other side. And there you go. Your tent's all set up. There's not much else to do except put your stuff in there and go to sleep. One other tip is often when, especially when it starts to rain, like right now this flies, it's a little loose, but you don't want it super tight, but you can just take that string down there and snug it up a little bit. When these tents get wet, the fabric loosens up a little bit, and that's why it's nice that they have these adjustable strings at the stake for the fly. You can just snug them up a little bit, and that helps keep the rain running off the sides of the tent. It doesn't collect anywhere. But that's it. We're pretty much done. You can open up your tent and get a good night's sleep. All right, thanks for watching. Again, Paul Lenhart, Wild Hearts Adventures. Thanks for joining me.